Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Patriotic Front leader, a political leader, Michaela Pandey, has slammed the UNC government's reliance on states of emergency, calling them a recycled response rather than a true national security plan. That plan was actually it first began under the PNM, though. In a May 2026 statement, Pandey argued that these circuit breakers erode constitutional rights while failing to address the root causes of violence. What I wonder is if Pandey understands that one of the main causes of this is really gang culture, the indoctrination via the media and the music industry, and entire communities lost in gang culture and weed. Warning against the politics of optics, she urged the Passad-Bissessa administration to pivot from temporary emergency powers towards a holistic strategy focusing on intelligence-led policing, border security, and measurable results. And now, most likely, I don't know if she's just opposing for opposing's sake, but she's giving constructive criticism to the government. She never really sounds as though she ever supports the administration. So maybe this is just another opportunity to criticize them. But she is correct. She is correct. My response, no matter Michaela's personal or political agenda, her statement is correct. You cannot address an issue such as crime via an SOE. A state of emergency should only be declared if there's a temporary crisis, such as a natural disaster or an insurrection. Cool. I'm pleading with the Prime Minister to let good sense prevail by ensuring that this PNM policy, because the PNM started abusing the SOE type of measure. So let good sense prevail by ensuring that this PNM policy is never used again for the rest of her term in office. Yes, PNM Patriots, your precious Emperor Rowley also declared an SOE to combat crime in 2024 and also used it during the 2020 to 2022 lockdowns. He used it. So it's not Kamala that started that. Having said that, can anyone tell me if Miss Pandey was as vocal about good governance when the Mighty Morphin Ghanaian bicycle coal pot PNM was in government? Now that is where the bias comes in, because I can't remember really hearing Pandey coming out and making these types of official statements so often while Rowley was in office. Correct me if I'm wrong, you know. You all can comment and show and put links to articles or whatsoever showing that Pandey was critical of the PNM government as often as she is with the UNC, and I will say, okay, fine, cool, no problem. Trinidad and Tobago nationals have a premier opportunity for international advancement through the 2027 Japanese government postgraduate scholarship, a fully funded initiative designed to foster bilateral academic exchange. This comprehensive award eliminates the financial hurdles of overseas study by covering all tuition, round-trip travel, and a monthly living stipend for scholars under 35. Now, ain't that wonderful? I crossed 35 already. I'm 43. So that ain't gonna thing for me. But still, it's good news for the youths outside there. Spanning fields from engineering to the humanities, the program includes preparatory language training to ensure success at Japan's top universities. With applications open at the Embassy of Japan in Port of Spain until June 1st, 2026, the scholarship remains a vital bridge for local graduates seeking to pair world-class research with a unique cultural immersion and opportunity of a lifetime, people, to go and study in another country and a wonderful place like Japan.
Trinidad and Tobago weather report for Wednesday, May 6, 2026. General outlook forecast for Wednesday, May 6, 2026 indicates a mostly fair but hazy and breezy day. While early morning showers are likely, conditions are expected to settle by midday, leaving behind hazy skies due to Saharan dust. Temperature and heat index I temperatures will reach approximately 29 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit to 91 degrees Fahrenheit. However, due to high humidity, the heat index or real field temperature may climb as high as 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity and air quality humidity levels will remain high throughout the day, ranging between 70% to 90%. A moderate to high concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere. People with respiratory sensitivities should take necessary precautions when outdoors. Winds and marine conditions. Breezy conditions will persist with winds blowing from the east to southeast at speeds of 15 to 35 km per hour. Marine conditions are classified as moderate, with wave heights in open waters reaching 1.5 meters to 2.0 meters. UV index is expected to be moderate to high. Sun protection is recommended for anyone spending extended periods outside between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Regional news now. President Dr. Irfan Ali, Guyana's president, has been honored with the Visionary Leadership Award by the Bilateral Chambers of Commerce in Houston, Texas, marking another milestone in Guyana's growing global profile. I'm telling you, the entire world is impressed by Irfan Ali's governance. Style of governance, even if they don't like him personally. They may not come out and say it, but they do. They are impressed. In accepting the award, the head of state dedicated the recognition to the people of Guyana, underscoring their role in driving national development, resilience, and progress, especially how they decided to vote for him again. They made the right decision, otherwise he wouldn't have been there as the leader. The honor reflects increasing international acknowledgement of Guyana's leadership, strategic direction, and expanding influence on the global stage. The Jamaica Teachers Association is closely monitoring a landmark constitutional challenge filed by opposition spokesman on education Damian Crawford, which alleges the government has failed to uphold children's binding right to quality publicly funded pre-primary and primary education. Crawford urges that systemic underfunding and inadequate access constitute a breach of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, a sentiment JTA President Mark Malabva suggests will lead to interesting deliberation in court. This legal battle centered on whether educational promises are truly being met in practice could redefine the state's accountability and reshape the future of the nation's early childhood sector. Sounds quite interesting. What I want, or free access to preschool tuition. I think we have that to an extent in Trinidad, or at least we did long time. I think with Serval, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm really not sure much about that. St. Vincent and the Grenadines opposition leader Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has strongly rejected a proposal by the International Monetary Fund to increase value-added tax on the tourism sector. Remember just a few days ago, whoever viewed my videos either on this channel, Real Conservative Headline News, or my other channel, Real Conservative News, I can't remember which one I highlighted it on. I said IMF is wrong for giving that recommendation. Thankfully, the opposition leader which I don't usually agree with him most of the times, but thankfully in this case, Gonsalves came out and gave really important advice. The IMF, through mission head Sergi Antoshin, suggested raising the current 11% VAT on hotels and restaurants to the standard 16% rate. The fund also indicated that there's no room to reduce the general VAT rate from 16% to 13%, a policy previously proposed by the governing New Democratic Party. Dr. Gonsalves argued that increasing taxes on tourism would be harmful at a time when the sector is experiencing growth right now, you know, and you want to chain it down with taxes. That's how I'm telling you, the IMF boy. He warned that adopting the IMF's recommendation could place significant pressure on hotels and restaurants. He described the proposal as part of a broader austerity approach, and that's all they do. is try to impose austerity measures on countries' people. That's what they do best, the IMF. So he said he described the proposal as part of a broader austerity approach that could slow economic progress and negatively impact the middle class. Surprisingly, this man is 100% correct. My response, whether Gonzalez is being a hypocrite or because people made that comment in on the report online. So whether Gonzalez is being a hypocrite or opposing the proposal being made by the IMF for political reasons, all citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines should agree with him on this particular issue. The IMF is well known for attempting to persuade or even force countries into imposing extremely overbearing taxes upon their citizens in order to reduce debt. Now, literally, they can't force you, but they can keep telling you, well, your debt is growing, and if it is you want a bailout, then you have to comply to our socialist, ridiculous demands. The government should focus on diversifying the economy and also expanding the tourism sector, which will result in significant economic growth. You're already seeing growth. Now you want to talk about what? Comply with the IMF? No, people. Stay focused on what you're doing. You cannot tax a nation into prosperity. Tell the IMF to mind their business.
There is no room to lower the VAT standard rate. In other words, keep it at 16. Remember I told you that the IMF would say that it must increase taxation? Here it is, increase the special rate for tourism. Instead, it should be, the special rate for tourism should be brought in line with the standard rate. In other words, where we now pay, the VAT rate is 11% for the tourism. The room and the room, what you pay for hotels and restaurants, no. VAT, 11% rather than the 16. They say you should move it to 16. They have been at me with this, you know. I say, but our tourism is now taken off. I have to use different levers in order to make my tourism product competitive. That's true. I want the hoteliers to hear, those of you who voted for the NDP, the restaurant owners, the IMF is putting pressure on them. If you want our help, increase that from 11 to 16. Rather than reduce from 16 to 13, increase the one from 11 to 16 for the tourism-related goods and services.
Students across Barbados were breathing a sigh of relief after completing the 11-plus examination, with many expressing excitement as they finally put the papers behind them. I honestly really believe that they should do away with that examination even here in Trinidad and Tobago. You're putting too much pressure on these young minds. They feel so nervous at that age. And even the parents are expecting so much from them at that age, when they should be just focusing on studying. Honestly speaking, I find they should have another way to be able to deal with this instead of this exam at such a tender age. Parents too shared in the moment feeling a sense of relief and pride as the long period of preparation came to an end. Now, congratulations to all the students on your efforts while you were writing this exam. And just remember, as I said on my other channel, just remember that even if you don't pass for your first choice, if it has a first choice in Barbados, those in Barbados, comment and let me know if it has anything such as a first choice, if you're just placed in whatever particular school. If you have a first choice, and you did not end up getting that first choice, remember that you can still accomplish all your goals. You can still be able to achieve whatever you want. Even if it is in another school, you just need to continue focusing on studying and having confidence in your own capabilities, in your intellectual capabilities, and trusting most of all in God, in order to be able to give you the wisdom to continuing to do your work to your best ability.
How are you feeling right now?
I am feeling like just like in the moment, just like medium-ish.
Medium. All right, thank you. Mommy, how are you feeling?
I am feeling relieved that everything is over. And I know she would have worked hard, both with her teacher and the lessons teacher, parents, and her supporters. We've worked very hard and we look forward to good results.
I feel good about the exam.
You feel good?
Yeah, the exam was okay.
All right, wonderful. And mommy, how do you feel?
I'm relieved. He worked hard. He put in a lot of work. So I'm proud of him.
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good?
Yeah.
All right, the exam was all right?
Yeah, the exam was alright.
Okay. And mommy, how do you feel?
I was a little nervous this morning. I actually cried. But I'm okay right now. Whatever he have done, I'm happy with it.
Good.
Feel good? How did you feel the exam was for you?
I feel like I did good.
And mom, how do you feel?
Glad it over.
Glad it over.
Because as I told him, now it's time for him to relax and enjoy the hard work he would have put in for the past couple of years.
Confident? All right. What school do you want to go to?
QC.
So give me one word to how you feel. How was the exam?
Good.
All right. And how was the exam?
It was okay.
It was okay. Did you feel that you were able to answer the questions?
Yes.
Tell us how you feel and what was your favorite subject today? Or why was it your favorite?
Grammar because it's easier.
So now you finished your common exams today. What's your next step for you? What are you looking forward to?
Food.
What school do you want to go to?
St. Michael's.
Mommy, how do you feel?
I'm proud of her. I told her to go and put her best foot forward, whatever school she gets into. Just go, learn, do what you have to do, come up with CXCs, and go from there.
Wonderful.
And we saw when you came out, the first person you ran to, the tour from mommy, was to daddy. So tell us what that was like, and daddy, how you feel about today as well.
You feel good about today. As long as you do everything with confidence, I got no problem with which school you go to.
The first exam was good. I finished in time. The grammar test, it was manageable. And the mathematics test, I had time to check over 5 times, so I feel really good about that. My name is Melissa Eiffel, and to me, the test was easy. The composition was somewhat easy, but then it came to the English. Some parts was kind of challenging. You had to think a lot for some of the comprehensions, but then the mathematics was really manageable for me.
Hi, my name is Orchid, and I think the test was very manageable. The grammar was really easy. I thought it was more easy than the other ones, and I really liked it. For the math, I was able to check over a lot of times to make sure I did it, and you had to really think for the math. And I hope I go to a very good school, and any school I go to, I will be very happy. And I think the exam was very good. And I want to go to Ellerslie because my mom and my sister went there, and I think Ellerslie is really good. But if I go to other school, I wouldn't mind because that's where I belong then. I either want to go to Harrison College or Combermere. Harrison College because Harrison College has swimming, and I am very good at swimming. And I either want to go Combermere because Combermere have acting, and I love acting. She really does. I would like to go to either the Queen's College or Combermere School because when I was growing up from small, I always wanted to go to Combermere. But then when I first went to Queen's College to do my practice test, I fell in love. So those are my top two schools I would like to go to.
The Bahamas external reserves surged by 60% in the first quarter of 2026 adding $270 million to reach a robust $3.2 billion total. The central bank characterizes these levels as comparatively healthy, providing a vital buffer to sustain credit growth and absorb potential shocks from rising global oil prices. It had to be that government doing something good there, unless it's the private sector to give credit to. I don't know. Driven by strong tourism inflows, which is usually private and government, and foreign currency gains, this record-setting balance covers over 7 months of imports, ensuring the stability of the Bahamian dollar's peg and reinforcing overall national financial confidence. International news now. The conclusion of Operation Epic Fury demonstrates a strategic pivot that balances military restraint with a clear warning of future action. Yes, people, it ain't over. It's just that that particular operation was nearing the expiration date, 60-day limit. While General Kane confirmed that Iran has harassed shipping and targeted U.S. forces over a dozen times since the ceasefire, he noted these provocations remain below the threshold for immediate escalation. I find that nonsense. So stop having a threshold. They violate, take action. By transitioning to Project Freedom, the administration resets the 60-day war powers clock, outmaneuvering congressional constraints while maintaining a defensive posture. So you see, people, it's just under a new name, a new operation, because they couldn't continue with that same old one. Otherwise, they would have needed congressional approval. This shift ensures the U.S. retains the initiative, treating current Iranian aggression as manageable while keeping the door wide open for a new legally fresh campaign should Tehran cross the line, and most likely they will cross the line again. And even if Trump doesn't decide to start a new operation in Tehran itself or in Iran itself, he's definitely doing a pretty good job when it pertains to the blockade, which is putting a lot of financial pressure on the terrorist regime in Iran. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, hopefully probably the future president of the United States of America, identifies Iran's convoluted decision-making process as a central obstacle to effective diplomacy, describing a fractured and opaque system that causes significant delays. In other words, it's just confusion. No actual leader taking a stand and saying, okay, we're making this decision and we're making that decision. Because remember, most of the leadership were destroyed or were eliminated. He explains that even simple negotiating offers can take nearly a week to process, as they must navigate a multi-layered bureaucracy requiring final approval from a supreme leader whose whereabouts and physical state are often uncertain. Nobody really seeing that leader. And sometimes when you do hear anything, it's probably even AI. And yet those are the same jihadists who are accusing Netanyahu of using AI. Yeah? Madness. Netanyahu met with journalists and still they're accusing the man of being, or they're accusing Israel of lying that Netanyahu is actually dead and that they're using AI. Nonsense. Real conspiracy. While they are the ones that actually use AI. Yeah? Everything they accuse other people of, they actually do. This structural paralysis, combined with what Rubio terms as an apocalyptic vision among hardliners, complicates efforts to reach a clear agreement, leaving the U.S. focused on general frameworks while maintaining maximum economic and military pressure to compel a shift in Tehran's position. Now let's talk a little bit about the apocalyptic type of concept. These radical jihadists in Iran and around the Middle East believe in starting wars and fighting against the infidels in order to usher in the era where their Messiah will return. You understand what I'm saying? Unlike we as Christians who preach the gospel to try to bring more people into salvation, God's salvation through Jesus Christ, that's what we do. And we, of course, we support wars to defend nations and so forth. We don't use violence. I mean, we talk about genuine Christians. We're not talking about the crusade times and whatsoever. We are talking about we don't use violence in order to usher in or welcome back Jesus on earth. We know when Jesus comes, when Jesus returns, he will deal with the enemies of Israel for himself, right? But we are not trying to commit acts of violence in order to be able to bring back our Messiah. You see the difference, people? It's a very significant difference.
Well, it's been challenging to deal with them diplomatically because, for example, an offer will be made and then it takes 5 or 6 days to get a response because you have to get it through the whole system. They have to find the supreme leader wherever he hides. They got to get him to sign off, and that's their system. Their system has always been multi-layered in this way. It's obviously become more complex because of the damage they suffered during the war. But look, suffice it to say, Iran has to pay a price. They're not going to change their position out of the kindness of their heart. There has to be a pressure point on them that causes them to realize they cannot continue to close the straits, or they face crushing economic consequences, but also, global diplomatic isolation, which they have proven in the past to be susceptible to. But you're right, they have a high pain threshold, but they don't have an unlimited pain threshold. Nobody does.
President Donald Trump said, I can say this. Iran wants to make a deal. Yeah, of course they want to make a deal. What kind of deal? It's a deal in there that will allow them to remain with enriched uranium and continue to enrich uranium, which you cannot ever agree to a deal such as that. He went on to say, what I don't like about Iran is they'll talk to me, which is Trump, with such great respect, and they'll go on television and say we did not speak to the president. They play games. Wow, Trump! Finally, you realize that? Now, of course, he realized that from the very beginning. But he loves these, diplomatic games with these terrorists, which I always say I don't agree with. But, thankfully, he came out now and he let the media know that I know what they're doing. I know. I am seeing it. I know it's all games for them. But, because we're dealing with so many different nations that support Iran, we have to try to play along with the games at times so that people can realize and see for themselves that no matter how hard America tries to make deals with the Ayatollah radical terrorist regime, it always fails because these individuals don't actually even have any desire to make a genuine peace deal with America or Israel.
Bible quote of the day. 2 Thessalonians 2:1-4. Now concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered together to him, we ask you, brothers, not to be quickly shaken in mind or alarmed, either by a spirit, or a spoken word, or a letter seeming to be from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord has come. Let no one deceive you in any way. For that day will not come, unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all. In Jesus' name.